How do you celebrate?
Oh, was recording?
Well, I mean, I just started at recording, so that we didn't say all the good stuff before I was recording.
Yeah. Okay, so we're talking about how we celebrate the holidays.
Mm-hmm. And I don't know.
Well, yeah, we've never talked about it before. I would say that, so my family is Nigerian. I'm Nigerian. My mom would say she's Nigerian, but she was born here.
Uh-huh.
But so we incorporate a lot of different aspects of both cultures in our celebrations. Um, as an entire family, we just try to spend that time of the holidays together as much as possible. Everyone's kind of spread out in New York and DC, Maryland, here in Virginia and other cities. So it's challenging sometimes to get everyone together, but that's the biggest goal. Now, with the kids, what we do is, we try to make it as magical a time, I guess, as possible with two parents who are always on the hustle. And we, throughout the month, bake. We, throughout the month, read stories about Christmas and about giving and being grateful and thankful. My husband and I, we try to take this time to teach the children that we are blessed, and there are a lot of individuals around us that aren't as fortunate as we are. And so, not only during this time, but throughout the year, we need to remember that and be mindful and use this time to give back. We, on the fun end, do the Elf on the Shelf.
Yes.
Have y'all started with the Elf?
No, we have not started with the Elf, and I'm very conflicted about whether I should get into it or not. Will you just tell me, because I've known of it as a thing that happens, but I didn't have. I mean, that wasn't a thing when we were growing up, right?
No, I don't think so.
So the idea is
would not have been doing that.
There's a book, and then you read the book, and then the elf moves around the house, and the elf is watching. Is that the idea?
So okay, listen. As a parent, there are a lot of benefits to this elf. There are a lot of setbacks, right? There are a lot of things that you just gonna have to deal with, but there are a lot of benefits. And one of the benefits is the elf is another parent. The elf can be your friend. The elf can help you get your children to act right.
Listen, we're weaving a web of, if not lies, whatever you want to call it, whatever a nicer euphemism is, why not make it work in our favor?
Listen, whatever works. Whatever works. The elf they will listen to that elf before they listen to you. And the elf doesn't even speak.
Mm-hmm.
So, for example, the night before, I could not get them to go to bed on time. They were just up in their rooms playing. And so that night, the elf made a mess in front of their rooms. The elf took their clothes that they left on the floor, threw their clothes on the floor. The elf went and got a banana peel from somewhere, threw it on the floor. There was just like crap all over the floor in front of their rooms. And they woke up and they said, "Who would do this? Why did he do this?" I said, "You know what? First of all, y'all need to put your clothes up. Obviously, he got this from somewhere. It was on the floor in your room. So, you need to keep your area clean."
Mm-hmm.
I said, also, he probably wanted to blame you all blamed for this because y'all weren't going to sleep on time. So, he probably did this to make me think you did it because you didn't sleep on time. So you need to go to bed on time. The next day, my daughter said, "Mommy, I'm going to bed." This was about 5 minutes till bedtime. "I'm going to bed right now. I really do not want." The elf's name is Aunt. I don't know why, but I don't want Aunt to try and get me in trouble again. So I'm going to bed on time. And I've cleaned up my room. I just want to let you know that. I said, "No problem. No problem, Lily. Good night."
Worth every penny.
Actually worth all of that $40 I spent for that little elf in that book.
I'm going to put a disclaimer on the front of this so no parent listens while there's little ears around.
But so he goes back at night during the day when they're out. Is it during the day that he goes back to Santa? there's some point in the day or night that he goes back
Or
to
just to keep up with his schedule on top of yours.
So he goes back to report to Santa
Mm-hmm.
at whatever time of the day. The kids don't see him when he's not there. You know, we may not be there. He might be gone now. And he reports to Santa the good and the bad. And you want a good report, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You want to get some gifts. So at that point, it's up to you how you're going to behave. He sees
Now,
it there.
Are we going to broach the topic? This might be for another day, but of exit strategy on these type of things
to help transition them to knowing that's not real.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not planning on doing that.
Cross that bridge when we come to it.
Because as long as they're cleaning their rooms and going to bed on time, look, if I could keep this elf for that purpose until they're out of my house, I'm fine with it. Actually,
Okay.
It works. So you just have to be ready to, get the elf ready for them the next day and move the elf around. And sometimes it's like 6 o'clock in the morning, 6:30, right before everyone's getting up, and I'm running around the house trying to make
the real key. You have to be sure that you're up before them.
You have to be up before them and go to sleep after them, and hopefully hope that they don't get up to get some water.
Right.
Lily's, my daughter's getting older and she's trying to sneak and look and see where the elf is. So I sometimes just wait till about 2 o'clock in the morning when I get up to do something or set my alarm and go put the elf, because I know she's not going to get up after.
Yeah.
So that's the drawback.
Real talk.
That's a real talk drawback. But other than that, I think they really enjoy that tradition. So we do that, and this is the same old hang the tree, stuff the stockings. But I think what we try to do, and we're trying to do it more and more every year as they get older, is mindfulness. Being mindful of those around us, being mindful of the blessings that we have, being mindful of how we should love one another as people, as friends, as family, and spend the time with family. So that's what we do.
I love that. But before we leave this, do you do then also a gift from you and your husband to your kids?
We do.
Okay. Because mine are just entering the realm of being conscious of that kind of thing. So I haven't had to think about navigating this kind of more mature understanding of things.
Yeah. Yeah. My daughter asked me yesterday, actually. Well, she said to me, "Mommy, I think I'm wondering if Santa is real." And I said, "Why?" And she said, "Well, one of my friends told me that last year she stayed up late to look for Santa, and she actually saw her parents put their gifts under the tree." And I said to her, "I don't know what's happening in her house, but Santa comes to our house." I said, "Also, you know what? I mean, if she's up late like that, why is Santa going to come?" She can't see him. So, she probably didn't show up because she was up late. And so Lily said to me later, she said, "Mommy, I was thinking about that. Santa probably called her parents to tell her parents he's not coming because she's awake. So they probably decided to go ahead and put the gifts. He probably left it for him." But, I was also thinking, if the most expensive gift I want this year is a Nintendo Switch. So if I do get a Nintendo Switch, that means Santa's real.
Confirmed. I love this arithmetic.
So I thought, is this a challenge to me?
Either she's the craftiest little thing, or, she's really just putting it out there.
Really just putting it out there. What
she knows how to manifest. You can't take that away from her.
Because I'd already decided I wasn't going to get her a Nintendo Switch. But if I want to keep this going, what do I do now, Hannah?
I know. I'm kind of in the same boat. My kid wants he wants a Polar Express for adults, is what he calls it. It just means that it's expensive. He wants it to go. It's just decorative, he's explaining, not for pushing with his hand. He's got a wooden one that he can use for pushing with his hand. Okay. He understands that he's too rough for this expensive toy that he wants, but he thinks I ought to have it. but he's asking for it from Santa for me to have because he wants to see it go around our tree.
That in so many ways, that's so kind. And in other ways, that is very, very crafty.
Misguided. Yes. Yeah. So I'd already been done shopping and I now have to debate whether I'm going back. So in our house, my husband grew up with no religion. He was born in Russia. And so they were not allowed to have a religion, but he is culturally Jewish.
Mhm.
So we also were kind of, it wasn't a thing before kids for us to navigate this. So now we're kind of freshly trying to navigate how to hold both things in our hands as a multi-faith family, I guess. But we are Unitarian Universalists who the big joke is like, to whom it may concern. Yes, and so everybody is responsible for their own spiritual journey. So we celebrate a little bit of Hanukkah. And the way that we do Hanukkah, we have started to light a menorah. And we look for similarities in lots of holidays around celebrating light. When you think even about the winter solstice, there's a celebration of the return of light to us. So we talk about what unifies lots of different religions. And on the 8 days of Hanukkah, which we're in now, we try and do a random act of kindness for somebody in our lives. So it might be just a little gift for a neighbor, or it might be a treat for our postman, or pay for the person in line behind us at the drive-through or whatever. We've put popcorn on the red box and stuff like that. So they feel a little mischievous about that. And it's not more stuff coming into our house, but it is still work because I still have to come up with things that we're going to do. But we did yesterday, we fed the birds and we cleaned out their bird bath and gave them water. And so we were connecting also with the land. It's not only material and monetary based, which I think is a thing that I want to try and remember for myself, because gift giving is my love language.
Yeah.
So I feel I get really so wrapped up in it. And I just can't help myself because I feel like I could have a whole gift giving business and be really happy because I mean, you give me $10 and a trip to Marshall's and I'll get you the perfect thing. So it's just about restraining the amount of times I go to Marshall's.
I think we talk about consumerism a lot, and that's something you want to, of course, address with your kids and also yourself, because there's so much more that's important in life. But and the act of giving does not necessarily have to be transactional, doesn't have to be monetary or with some type of item. It can just be with love and goodness and so, being more mindful of that, I think that's great. But there is nothing wrong with going to Marshall's when you want to go to Marshall's. Okay, let's establish that right now.
Oh, don't worry, I did. That's where I've done my first. That's why I've done my rounds of shopping already. And I'm like, no, you cannot make amendments to your list. I didn't even ask you for a list. So we also celebrate Christmas, and we also have Santa, and we have trees, and we try and bake and all those things. And family time is the most important. And I think COVID has been just such a big lesson about just that gathering with the people that we love is not guaranteed. So it's just really nice to be able to celebrate that. And also, I mean, there's something for me about like committing to that time together and making sacrifices beforehand. And in this case, I am cautious about what I do leading up to that because I don't want to get sick beforehand and then have to cancel that, because that's kind of, this thing that we're all looking forward to.
Yeah. Yeah. We, no matter what your faith is, and I know this time in this country we celebrate it majority as Christmas, and as a Christian woman, I take that, and I believe that part of my role in my family as a mom and a daughter and sister is to keep that part of the tradition alive and to make sure I'm teaching my children about our faith, and that this holiday it's wonderful that we do the candles and the cookies and Santa and the elf even. It's wonderful that we do all that, but the purpose of the holiday for us is to celebrate the birth of Christ and what he means to us and what he means to this world. That being said, there's so many traditions around this world. I started talking about, off that we're Nigerian and we have a lot of that we incorporate from our Nigerian culture and the Western culture for Christmas celebration. But there's so many faiths around the world and so many faiths that during this time they're in celebration too. And so, yeah, we got to be mindful of that. And I think, a couple years ago, even last year, the debate of Happy Holidays versus Merry Christmas. I think that's so ridiculous on all parts, especially for Christians to make that to make that argument, because we're really supposed to be inclusive. That's what the faith started off as being inclusive. Put down what you're doing and follow me, and all can come. So I'm very happy to share this time with you, happy to hear how you all celebrate, and happy that there's so many different faiths that are celebrating in this time. And if we really look at this time from a different view, as opposed to the views that we have in the past, I think it would be just even better,
Yeah, I love that. There's a lot of opportunity for division if you let there be, but there can just as easily be opportunity for kindness and love and what unites us all.
Yeah.
Well, happy holidays.
Happy holidays.
Merry Christmas. Happy Kwanzaa. Happy Hanukkah. Happy solstice. And let us know if we left something out.
All,
Leave your wishes below in the comments.
Yes. Thanks, Hannah.
Thank you. And thanks everyone for joining us.